Our approach to how to change your life for the better actually works. It's a straightforward mechanical process using 16 individual components, usually referred to by us as key factors, which combine to produce capability. There's nothing fluffy or iffy in our approach whatsoever. Personal development, or spiritual development if you prefer, has got a poor reputation. Smart people especially can see it's polluted with belief and myth. And it doesn't really help, other than perhaps offering a crutch for those who are desperate. Life coaches and other modern gurus are a superficial bunch. They trot out truisms using hype and buzzwords, manipulating people's insecurity, invariably for a price. They might have the gift of the gab, having learnt to talk the talk, but if you look, they unfortunately don't walk the walk. What they tell you to do doesn't actually add up to much, and it isn't that deep or meaningful. Their motivational drivel quickly wears off, unsurprisingly because it was never more than a brief performance. What it does do is make our job much harder. If you've got any previous interest or involvement in trying to change yourself, you'll have been fed a load of bullshit. Your idea of what it's all about has been tarnished. You've been misled, wandering down a dead-end path. Your mind's been filled with irrelevant nonsense. It's so bad that you won't have even got to the start line yet, an issue that we'll be exploring soon. The foothills will still be ahead of you, well before the mountain you'll eventually need to climb. We despair at how little is actually known that's of any real value. Sensible people are usually put off. They rightly steer clear of the alternative crowd who are unknowingly advertising their own gullibility and self-indulgence. There's merely playing at changing, with nothing genuine happening at all. It's a waste of time. I'm in danger of getting ahead of myself here because we'll be examining the long history of failure, including the blind leading the blind, in the film after next. So I won't go any further into this sad situation for now. If you've kept clear of all this, it's still not easy to get your head around what we mean by mechanical. It goes against or exists beyond what is usually associated with the inner world of emotion and thoughts. It's a different approach or way of seeing. Our 16 key factors are mechanical. They're primary or causal considerations, meaning that everything else is secondary or descriptive. And they work, reliably delivering measurable results. They're the fundamental components of peak psychological health and capability. Vague waffle just isn't good enough. Knowledge must be precise. Our dual framework approach is firstly comprised of the 16 key factors that, when integrated and used together, allow you to unlock your human potential, to be the best you can be. But our dual framework approach also incorporates knowledge of the avoidance syndrome, which, guaranteed, will frustrate any and all efforts to significantly change your life if left unchallenged. The mass of self-help advice out there astonishingly ignores this crucial matter of avoidance or defensiveness, not least because most people don't want to hear what the problem with them is. Instead, they want a nicely packaged quick fix involving minimal effort, something that's never going to work, of course. Our 16 key factors are nuts and bolts, or tools. You have to learn to use them, incorporate them. They're unspecific, which means they can be applied to anything you choose to focus on. I said a couple of times before that they could even be employed to make a bank robber better at robbing banks, which is one slightly wacky example. And I'm still not encouraging criminal activity. We hope you'll use this know-how, this map or blueprint, these tools, to shift from selfishness towards non-selfishness. This is the highest level of meaning and purpose facing us. It's a process which you need to study, understand and follow. When we say it's mechanical, we mean that we've stripped it down to the bare essentials. Descriptive language is helpful for communicating something, but not much more. You have to appreciate that you've been fucked up, which I'm sure you're starting to realise by now. In mechanical terms, you're not running smoothly, and that's probably being kind. Your fuel supply is limited, unfiltered, full of crap, spluttering. You need a major overhaul to get you up to speed. Car mechanics have got it right, understanding the various indispensable parts, appreciating they all need to be working well so the vehicle can do what it's meant to do. They're not focused on the colour of the paintwork, how comfortable the car seats are, or similar irrelevancies. Their task is simply to fix what's wrong, service the parts to maintain optimal performance, and to check all's well to keep us safe on the road. Their thinking is practical and all about the achievement of a pre-agreed outcome. A car mechanic doesn't have to be kind, good-looking or have a cool image, or be your best friend. The aim is to get the job done. Nothing more, nothing less. Unfortunately, the task of personal development isn't remotely considered or approached in such a no-nonsense manner. A wonderful woman we know had a flashy red Italian sports car when we first met her, years ago. And she wore the trendiest of fashionable sunglasses whilst driving it, even when the sun was nowhere to be seen. Everything was carefully calculated around look at me, image. But the bottom line was that she wasn't that good at driving in those days. The emphasis was all wrong, with the basics ignored. And those interested in changing themselves are likewise similarly misled or deluded. They need to wake up, face reality, and get with the process. The various forms of avoidance, including laziness and complacency, are obstacles to following any process. The prospect of change threatens to expose you as an idiot, adding stress and anxiety when you've already had enough to last a lifetime. When you get an inkling of this, you might easily conclude that you can't be bothered, that it requires too much sustained effort. Instead, you'll look for an easier way, which isn't good. You must be on guard not to make such an excuse, looking for an early exit. Once there's understanding, you can trust the process. You can see the way forwards is complete and detailed, therefore deserving of your trust. Declutter your mind, especially moving away from emotional upheaval, knowing that simplicity and accuracy are better friends than the contradictory mess of deflection. Fine-tune your step-by-step targets or short-term goals. Have both patience and urgency. If the dream is big, sufficiently worthy, success will take time. You'll begin to see results and benefits, but progressively, level by level. Remember, it's a process, not a magic wand. Keep at it. You don't need luck. You've got a reliable, tested, educational process that works. So learn, apply, then learn, apply some more. Keep going. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. But you can get there with exact knowledge. Focus on the 16 key factors. Use them as tools to fix and fine-tune, like a mechanic. Use inquiry to ask which ones need to be better used, and see those you're missing at crucial times. Psychology can't be physically seen like a car engine or gearbox, but it's nevertheless just as real. The trick is to identify what's what, parts, functionality and process. And you have to know what's best performance, where you're going. Otherwise you might find yourself sitting in your car but not leaving your driveway, getting a numb bum. Forget any notion of magical or spiritual. That's bullshit. You need to hammer and forge yourself into who you want to become. Getting hot, sweaty and grimy like a blacksmith hard at work. An evidence-based approach is essential, and you can use our anti-hypocrisy test here. Actions speak louder than words. Any attempt at change must be results-driven. You will fool yourself within the selfishness mindset, so this has to be countered with consistent outer verification. What you actually do, including how well and how much over time, is a reliable means of assessment. Martin Seligman is one of America's best-known academic psychologists. He's no fool. He co-authored an 800-page book having identified 24 character strengths. Of course, these qualities are real and important, but there's a major problem. Only 25% of them are primary or causal factors. The rest are secondary, consequential or descriptive, of little or no practical use, as I'll explain in a moment. The approach was impractical. 2/3 of our key factors were missed. It's disappointing and disturbing that they could be so far off the mark with their analysis. OK, our pioneering approach is equally practical and logical. We know it and apply it, so we're different from a mere intellectual study. But this doesn't really excuse such poor or incomplete thinking. And our criticism is totally valid for one simple reason. You cannot learn or teach secondary, consequential or descriptive character strengths. You can only learn, teach primary or causal ones, as in our 16 key factors. Martin Seligman and co. were contacted by educators concerned that current learning in schools was inadequate, which led to extensive discussions. So there were plenty of chances to reconsider the practicality, or not, of their academic work. But an opportunity for deeper understanding was overlooked, missed. Intellectualization is a known form of psychological avoidance. Yet it's commonly ignored by those who are clever enough to know better. The elite, thankfully, don't have the monopoly on brain power, even if those in authority are overly eager to turn to them for answers. So you're hopefully clear about the need for a complete and detailed map or blueprint, enabling you to reliably move forwards. You need tools, the components of raw capability, our 16 key factors. Your approach has to be mechanical, no nonsense, results-driven. And, of course, you'll well and truly have in mind by now that avoidance will threaten progress. But there's still a couple more bits to explain. You need to know how the nuts and bolts, the components, fit together. Picture building, linking, plus inquiry and appropriateness and preferences are especially relevant here. You have to learn to be adept at using all of the key factors in any and all situations. As you might have been vulnerable to myth, perhaps previously sucked into playing at changing, there's a danger that you could be holding on to bullshit. It's not enough to know the essential components, understanding how they all fit together as an integrated whole. Some things might be true, but irrelevant to the actual process for change. Phony ideas or fake components have to be identified and eliminated. Some stuff is just plain wrong. No mechanic would ever mistake a tampon for a spark plug, although the two things do look vaguely similar. It's not as easy to spot fake components when they're mental processes which can't be seen, but it must be done. Ian, who's behind the camera, once owned a van which had an intermittent fuel problem. Mechanics spent most of the day trying to work out what was going wrong. After eliminating almost all of the possible causes, one by one, they eventually looked inside the fuel tank. They found a leaf, which kept getting sucked up in the fuel, sometimes causing a blockage until it sank back down again. So what doesn't belong, doesn't belong. Again, you need simplicity and accuracy. Nothing more, nothing less. We've done the hard work to identify exactly what's necessary, rigorously testing it over many years. Now it's your turn. Follow the process to change your life. I'm out of the studio for the next film, when we'll be looking at oneness experiences. Until then, think mechanically.